Hi everybody, my name is Natalie Ledwell and this is The Inspiration Show. Today on the show, my special guest is actually a very good friend of mine, and we are going to be talking about upgrading your frequency, what that actually means, and how we can incorporate this into our life to really live life on a different level, and honestly to get more in contact with who we really are. Because I think a lot of us are kind of in a space right now where we're like, okay, well, we've been, career people and parents, and we've lived this life that seems to be rushing past us, but we've kind of lost sight of who we really are and that connection to that. But before I do that, and before I introduce my special guest today, I just want to remind you that if you are watching this show on YouTube, don't forget to click the link below this video so that you can do my 30-second quiz so we can figure out what's blocking you from success. So please help me in welcoming my special guest today, the amazing Sandra Biskind. How are you, Sandra?
I'm great, Natalie. How are you?
I am amazing. Now, Sandra,
I can see that.
Yeah, as you can probably hear, is a fellow Aussie, and she's a very good friend of mine. We actually are involved in different, platinum circles and things together. You do some incredible work on the planet, and with a lot of the friends that I know. But for our audience who are not familiar with you, can you give us a little bit of your background and what it is that you do?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, everything started for me full bore when I was 27, and I managed to extract myself from an abusive relationship. And I really knew I had to do something to empower myself and support myself in order to survive. But I didn't want to just survive, I wanted to thrive. And believe it or not, I started meditating. And that started that whole lifelong process of me being able to master the art of learning how to change my frequency. And that led to me being able to create an award-winning business and to become a multimillionaire at the age of 30. That will tell you how important it is to change your frequency. It's more about how you're showing up in the world, who you're being, rather than what you're doing. And that took a long time. I mean, for a lot of us, for entrepreneurs and conscious business leaders, that's a little bit of a shift, because we're so used to doing, and it's really when we slow down, take a deep breath and do the inner work, when we monitor our thoughts, when we monitor our emotions, that we realize that we haven't been showing up in the world the way we absolutely want to, as the best version of who we are. So upgrading your frequency is for me, the number one component to success.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when we have, and we talk a lot about vibration and frequency here at My Movies, and how that when we are resonating at a certain frequency, we're in flow and things seem to be a whole lot easier for us. So, what is it that we can do to upgrade our frequency? Is there certain steps that we can take?
Oh, it's fantastic. By the way, just piggybacking on what you just said, it was Tesla who was the man who was known as the genius who lit up the world. He said that if you want to know the secrets of the universe, and we all do, you have to think first in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So I think that's really important. So there's a number of steps. One of them is the 4 questions. I love teaching people the 4 questions. It was when a staff member of mine told me that they weren't sure how I was going to show up, and angry, sad, upset, or whatever after that divorce, that I realized I needed to do something. I would sit in my car every day before getting into work, so you guys can do this, and you can just ask yourself these 4 questions. What am I feeling? I was unhappy about going to work. What am I focused on? I was focused on all of the suppliers ringing me asking for money I didn't have at that moment. What do I want to feel? I want to feel great about going to work. And what focus will serve that? And I realized I needed to focus on loving and being grateful for my staff, my clients, and those suppliers who were ringing us and asking me for money. These 4 questions are so powerful that they changed the way I did show up. They changed my frequency, and my business flourished. We do have, by the way, a downloadable PDF of the 4 questions. So if anybody really wants it, we can make sure that happens for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I love about the 4 questions is that often, we've heard, and we've had guests on the show as well, it's like for us to be able to have a choice about how we choose to show up in a moment, sometimes we go, let's just stop and take a breath. But stopping and take a breath is great, but then to stop and take a breath and then ask those 4 questions.
That's it, Natalie.
I think that does is good. Yeah. So let's just go through the 4 questions again.
Yes. What am I feeling? What am I focused on? What do I want to feel? What focus will serve that? Yeah. And you can see that the people who do this, they actually make an instant shift. And what the 4 questions do is they cultivate your emotional intelligence, and they develop mindfulness so that you can then have the opportunity to make a shift and change your frequency.
Yeah, right. And so is there, to maintain like the right frequency or a higher frequency, is there some kind of daily practice or things we can be doing on a daily basis to maintain that?
Well, obviously meditation is the big kahuna, as you know. Yeah. And what I've done is I've created a platinum meditation. Now, platinum's very important here because we do live in a world of rapid change. And with rapid change comes growing impatience, feeling out of balance, overwhelm's epidemic. And so what I've done is I've created a platinum meditation that gets you on this platinum frequency. Now, that's the new frequency that we call, that we use to call enlightenment and wholeness. Because I do know this for a fact, after almost dying at the age of 18 and going into what is known as a peak classical enlightenment state, that enlightenment is the only thing that's going to end suffering. Mine, yours, everybody else's. And to get there, to be on that frequency that we're now calling the platinum frequency, which stands for peace, love, awareness, trust, integrity, neutrality, unity, and mindfulness, to get on that frequency, then you absolutely need to meditate. And your meditations are brilliant. This one is just completely focused on shifting your frequency immediately to get you into that place where it's easy for you to be more creative and to make the decisions you need to make on how you're going to show up in the world.
Right. So what do you think holds most people back from being able to reach this level of frequency?
Great question, and it's an easy one to answer. And that is that every single person on this planet has unconscious programs running our business. And they've been locked in our DNA from past lives. They've been passed down from generations. They've been imprinted on us since childhood. It's our conditioning. And those unconscious blocks can get triggered off with a look, a word, an event, anything. And they're the blocks that say, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve love, I don't deserve money, I don't deserve success. And they're deep and they're sneaky because you don't even know they're there, especially in our field, Natalie, because we're working with enlightened leaders, conscious business people, entrepreneurs. Everybody's got the skill set, the mindset, the tool set, but it's this unconscious that sneaks in and slaps us around. And so for me, I've developed with Daniel, we've developed a system that completely discovers and neutralizes and deletes the unconscious programs, and it's called corrections. So we go in almost into the matrix of your soul. We discover the event, emotion, and decision that's caused the block. And remember, it's an unconscious block, we're not aware of it, and we completely correct it out of your system. So there's no more emotional attachment to it, which means you're completely free to make new decisions and to have the life you want. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's really groundbreaking new human technology, and it's on the planet now.
And from what I understand, I mean, these blocks that we're talking about aren't necessarily just from this lifetime, right?
Absolutely not. The majority of them are, when they show up, when I work with my private clients, I'm looking for them. Are they showing up on a mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, psychic, or psychological level? Sometimes it's all of them, sometimes it's a few, but in nearly every case it's spiritual. And if that's the case, then of course when you get the spiritual one, it's like dominoes. Once you get that one, everything else seems to fall over and come into place. And the spiritual ones are nearly always past, present, or future lives. We're multidimensional beings, you know, where so much is happening to us on so many different levels, which is quite exciting, except when the programs that and the decisions we made, especially near death in those other lifetimes, when we made decisions there, they get locked in and passed down here, and they rear their head. And that's why you have people who are so successful in one area, and then it's like, what's going on in their relationships, or they've got great loving relationships, the money's not coming. And this is definitely nearly 90% of the time due to past, present, or future life programs.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing, like when, I know a lot of people that are doing personal development work may go back and look at their childhood and go, look, I can't pinpoint a point. Like I have no explanation for why this is showing up in my life. And it's probably because it came from a previous lifetime when we brought it in with us. So, and I know that you work with, like I said, many people. Can you share a couple of stories so that you can sort of really illustrate what we're talking about here? Because it sounds very esoteric, but really, you've seen some massive shifts in people that you've actually been working with hands-on.
Yeah, totally. And one story that comes to mind is a woman that I worked with just a few nights ago. She was from Atlanta. She took all of last year off work to get more business education and more business training. And she was, out of a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst you can feel, she said she was a 15 when it came to overwhelm and spinning out. And I was able to get her to 0 very quickly. That was in one group coaching call and in a few minutes. And she rang me up straight after the call and she said, wow, my creativity is spiking and I no longer feel overwhelmed at all. Now, this was nothing to do with what happened in her childhood. She had this fabulous childhood. She was a very happy kid with lots of great things. I had to really go back in and find out a self-worth program that was happening in another lifetime. See, people say that they have seemingly unsolvable problems, and it is because when you go back to your childhood, and yeah, look, a lot of us had some horrific things happen to us when we were children, and they do have to be cleared out and cleared up. The emotional leakage around those, we need to get neutral to that and strong to them. But when you can't find it, when you do that work and it's still happening, like the problems are still there, you know it's from a past life. And for me, it's not a matter of do past lives exist. That's just, I understand that some people are going to go, huh? What's she talking about? What are we talking about? But being a medium and being able to connect with these beings, like being connected with all that you are, it's just so easy for me because I know that they're real. And I've had horrific surgeries and all sorts of things happen to me, and nothing to do with this lifetime. And when I've gone back and discovered where they came from, I was able to stop this roller coaster ride of surgery. And boy, I tell you what, I almost died twice from them. And if I hadn't have been able to do that, I don't know, I would not be here today. That's for sure.
Yeah. Now, I know that you've just mentioned that you do like group calls and everything, but do you work with people live?
Live is the best, because the magic and miracles that happen when you're getting a transmission of this beautiful platinum enlightenment frequency, there's nothing like it. And you know that, Natalie, because you stood in it and you've sat in it and you've allowed me the honor of putting my hands on your head and transmitting that beautiful energy into you. And yeah, the live events, we're just starting live events 2017. And very excited to be going down under in February, and we'll be doing 2 live events there. Enlightened Business Success, a 3-hour evening event, fabulous introduction to a full immersion and transmission into this energy, and to discovering what's blocking you from being able to have the success you want, like on that very deep level. 3 whole days on February 24th to 26th in Melbourne. And I'm hoping that all of the Aussies will make it there, but I'm sure that I've got people from New Zealand and LA going, we want to be there. So you know what that's like, Nat. It's there's something about when we work, our frequency is very, very high. And when you walk into the room, everybody can feel their frequency shift to match it. And it's really about changing the way the brain functions, opening the heart, and becoming the being that you have always known that you are. And if you don't know you are, by the end of the 3 days, you will know that you are a perfect divine being, and the only thing stopping you from living that are your thoughts.
Yeah. No, I can speak personally that when I have worked with Sandra, I walk away from that, and it's like there's this channel has opened up, and the creativity and the thoughts are coming in of things that I couldn't even see before. Like half an hour beforehand, I had no way of being able to see this, but now it's like I've opened up this channel so that all this insight is coming in, so I know what direction to take next. It's incredible. And sometimes it's interesting, like, you know, these blocks are, you know, afterwards you go, oh wow, okay, now I see. But because like you said, they're so unconscious, we can't see what's stopping us from success. And working with you has made a massive difference for me. So you know, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much. Well, you know, yesterday I had an interesting experience with Daniel, and that was he's been dizzy for a few months, and I'm thinking, come on, what, you know, we haven't worked on this. So I worked on it, and I found out very, very quickly that he was feeling out of balance, which obviously you think, hang on, dizzy, out of balance. But going back into a lifetime where he was completely out of balance, and every time he went into business, someone cut him down, and you know, he'd make millions and he'd lose it in that lifetime. And there was no balance there whatsoever. The minute I corrected that out, the dizziness went, it was gone. It was just gone, and it hasn't come back. So you know what, I just feel grateful that we're able to share this gift with the world, and that we're able to teach other people to do it.
Yeah. Now, I know that you are very generously gifting the platinum frequency visualization.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about what that actually is.
That's fantastic. I've created that to actually take you through to take you from platinum. I'm going from your base chakra to the head. And by the time that you finish the visualization, your whole being will be on that platinum frequency, which means in that moment, you will be you'll be very, very calm. You'll feel creative. You'll feel in your heart. And I don't know what else, because everybody reacts differently to this frequency, in that a lot of different things can happen. You've done this visualization similar to this one, that here in my home. Yeah. And I know how expanded you were, and afterwards you said, boy, I wouldn't need a glass of wine. Even if you offered it, I wouldn't have it, because it takes, right? Because it's the high without the hangover, really, isn't it? Yeah. So the platinum meditation is a great start. If you can't get to the live events yet, it's really a great start of just being able to change your frequency in your own time, in your own home. And, you know, bring your family in, let your kids and your partners do it with you. It's one of those things that the more you do it, the more your frequency changes, the more you change.
I know, it's awesome. So guys, if you are watching this show online, just click the banner to the side. You can go through to the site where you can get that visualization. Or if you're watching on the app, make sure you click the banner underneath. Sandra, darling, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And for anyone that's watching this show, I highly, highly recommend working with Sandra and Daniel in person, because it is it's a life-changing experience.
Thank you, Natalie. It's been an absolute honor knowing you, let alone working with you. I love you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Now, guys, I encourage you to share this video, and you can do that by clicking the Facebook and the Twitter share buttons on this page. And don't forget that once you finish watching and you get that visualization from Sandra, that you click the link underneath, so we can give you the 30-second quiz. You can figure out what's blocking you from success. And if you're watching this online, don't forget to leave your email so we can send you the Manifesting with a Masters video e-course. So until next time, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. We'll see you soon.